I'll call the meeting to order. Today, July 21st at 7 p.m., a Board of Health meeting. And it's 7:03. So I'm calling it to order at 7:03 p.m. That was number one. Number two, well, you know what I'll do is I'll go around and we can introduce the board and myself. So I'm Caroline Kinsella. I am the health director. Emily?
I'm Emily Connors. I'm the assistant health director.
Roxanne?
Hi, I'm Roxanne Musto. I'm the chair, Board of Health.
Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura Richards, Secretary, Board of Health.
Mary?
Mary Stenson, Board of Health member.
Jean Peterson?
I am Jean. I'm the clerk.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, we'll move on to approval of the meeting minutes, number 2. And that's the meeting minutes we had on June 10th. If everyone can take a look at that. You know, if you have anything you'd like to add, any corrections?
I do, Caroline. It says on the top of the meeting minutes for June 10th, Roxanne is the chair and Laura is the secretary.
No, it says Laura is the chair.
Oh, I meant to say Laura, it says Laura
Yeah.
is the chair, excuse me.
And that you're the secretary and Roxanne's the member. Yes, so that needs to be
Right.
switched.
Correct.
Yeah, I just
Sorry.
need to switch the order on that a little. That's all.
Okay,
Sorry, it's just the old one.
good catch, Mary. We'll change that.
I can read, but I can't talk, I guess. Sorry about that. Doing too many things at once.
I thought the rest of them looked pretty
Yeah,
good. So
I
I was
read the
going to
rest.
make a motion to approve the June 10th meeting minutes with the outline of what Mary said to correct in it, with just the positioning of who's on the board. And then I would make a motion to approve that. Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then number 3 is citizens speak. And I believe we may have someone who'd like to speak at Citizen Speak. If you could raise your hand. Let's see if he's here.
Is that me?
No,
Oh,
not you
sorry.
yet. I'm sorry. There was a gentleman who said he was going to come to the meeting to speak to 5-9 Thatcher.
Yeah, let me know if you can see it
Oh,
raised. Now.
There you are. There you are. I can see you. Yes, now I can see you. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Caroline, it's a pleasure to meet you, or digitally, excuse me. I wish I could turn on my camera, but currently I'm in a position where I cannot. Hopefully at the next meeting we can meet face to face. I'd prefer that, and please do accept this apology. I prefer doing things face to face. It's just unfortunately I'm in a position where I can't turn on my camera today.
No
Um, I appreciate that. Thank you. And so good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Jonathan, but as you can see here, I go by Bo. And I'm speaking, like Caroline said, on 5-9 Thatcher Street, which has been a problem in the community for at least 20 years now. And I would like to say starting in 2004, it has remained abandoned and has continued to just become an eyesore to the community. And more so than just an eyesore, it's become a safety violation, health violation in and of itself. Several times throughout the years, it appeared as if the house was very close to falling over. And I know the town has sent out some correction orders in regard to it since at least, from my understanding, since at least 2020. And the house remains, well, it's a it's a two structured property, excuse me. So there's a house, residential house, and then there's also a commercial space attached to it. And both remain in disrepair. And so I'm talking today in regard to that property because we being myself and the community, I currently live on Thatcher Street, right across the street from the property. So I see it every day. And the community and I have spoken about what we would like to see happen to this property. We'd love for it to become a community center of sorts, especially in West Milton, which seems to lack a how I like to say this, a meeting space that isn't the center for, I don't know what exactly the term for that space is, but I believe it. I don't want to call it the elderly meeting space, but that's essentially what it was. But I'm blanking on the term. So a more structured community space where we could come and have these meetings, et cetera. That's a lot more open, and then also double as more than just a meeting space, but an actual community center which could be used for things like community jobs, for example, during the summer, or even during the entirety of the year. In the mornings, for example, it could be used as a daycare, And there are a lot of people within the community that could be utilized to use to run the daycare. And then the house itself could double, as a community house where, or maybe a miniature library of sorts is a better way to phrase that, in which well, it's more than just a library, but it'd be a space where people who perhaps work from home but can't work from home because of certain circumstances or et cetera could go there and use it for that space. The community kitchen could be used to host weekly breakfast, lunches, and dinners, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there are things that this community space. There are things that this property could be used for, but it currently remains in disrepair, and I'm unsure as to why. And at this point, the why question is out of the picture. It's what can be done now so that we can push forward this idea of making it a community center and building up the community rather than leaving the structure in disrepair. And as I mentioned again, this has been abandoned. I'd like to label it as abandoned since at least 2004. I've lived in Milton for about 23 years now, so I have history with the town. I'd really love my community to be developed in some capacity and not let this building sit. There have been multiple correction orders that have been sent out, and while the first one that I noticed in 2020, or at least the ones that I received from 2020 onward, primarily made the issue about the fencing, again, the entire property, both properties rather, since again, it is a residential and a commercial building, um, have a lot more issues than just the fencing that and disallowing people from going into the space. For example, I was speaking with a neighbor recently about how it's a godsend that finally they cut the grass. The grass has been an issue for years now because anyway, long story short, it allowed mice and other vermin to, how would I like to say this, populate the areas. That's a meeting space, a breeding ground, for them. And it's so bad that you could when you walk by the property, you can actually smell their feces and them congregating. It's a very distinct smell. It's a very distinct meaning that it has to do with mice or rats in particular, because it's also a smell that is associated with the food mart that's right next to it, which is another issue in and of itself. But there's more than just the fencing issue. The entire property, both structures, are very close to falling down. Nobody takes care of the shoveling situation. For example, this winter, I actually I slipped, and I don't want to say rolled my ankle, but my ankle, I was basically hopping for the rest of the day. And when I called the town in regard to it, nobody had an answer as to who was in charge of making sure that that doesn't occur again in the future. And that should not be the case. And so I have recently been trying to move forward with pushing this towards, since the town doesn't seem to be doing anything in regard to it, or at least does not want to do anything in regard to it, or in the worst case scenario, is at the backing of the owner who has left these properties to be abandoned for so long. Now I am pushing for the state to get involved because the state has an abandoned property initiative in which if a property is abandoned, no matter for how long, as long as it is in violation of the state's sanitary codes, health codes, then the state can, after, of course, the town sends out a correction order. And then, of course, once the town sends it over to the Attorney General's office, and then the Attorney General's office sends out another correction order with a time limit of a week to get things in order. Then it gets sent to receivership, and someone can actually, who is interested in building up the property or maintaining it at the very least, can start doing what is needed to do, what is needed for the community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, as I've been working with Caroline, who's remained extremely helpful throughout this entire process, I don't want to see it get to that point. I prefer letting the town handle it as we do as a town. However, again, it appears as if that's taking a lot longer than need be. For example, with the for example, excuse me, to rephrase.
Jonathan,
Mhm.
can I interrupt you?
Go ahead.
Can we have like one or maybe one more minute and of you talking to the board to tell them exactly how you feel? And I know I've been working with you, and I told you today that I'm meeting with town council this week to talk about 5-9 Thatcher
Right.
Street. So
Exactly. And again, I appreciate all your assistance throughout that process. I won't take up too more time, right? Anyway, so essentially I would really love to see the town allow its citizenry to take care of this matter, whether that means telling the person who already owns it to actually start developing the property for whatever it is that they wanted to do, or if they cannot or do not do that. And I don't think giving them another year is fair. I think we've already given them so long, right? We already given them another month to get the entire thing situated. I think giving them another week is fair, sure, but then after that, give it to the state so that it could be put up for receivership, and someone who is actually interested in maintaining the property can, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, if the town has no other action available to it to allow its citizenry to maintain their community. And that's what I'd really love to see happen with 5-9 Thatcher Street.
well, thank you for speaking, Jonathan. We appreciate it. And the board can take everything under consideration that you said.
Thank you, and I appreciate you letting me know about this meeting.
Thank you.
Mm.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak at Citizen Speak? Seeing no one else, I'm going to move on to number 4, which is 135 Milton Street. It's a local upgrade approval request, variance in accordance with the DEP policy number BRP-DWM/PEP-P00-1, allowing a percolation rate to be established via grain size, which is a sieve analysis distribution requested by applicant John E. Duggan, trustees. And we have, I believe, Mr. Scott Hayes may be here to speak. He's from Foresight Engineering on this address 135 Milton Street. So, Mr. Hayes, would you like to speak next?
Sure. Hi, good evening. Scott Hayes, Foresight Engineering. I've done the sewage disposal system design plan for 135 Milton Street. So just a little history on this. We had originally attempted to design a sewer connection to Milton Street. The property is set back off the road and actually doesn't have frontage on Milton Street. So it's about 800 or 900 feet from the house to Milton Street, and through a narrow right of way that passes over the neighbor's property. It actually contains the existing water service as well. And we had looked into doing a low pressure sewer connection, and it just it turned out to be cost prohibitive. So we as requested to explore the alternative of septic system in lieu of the sewer connection, which we went out in May and did deep observation holes. The water table was very high, about 2 feet actual seepage. So we weren't able to do a percolation test in the sea horizon. We took a sample of the sea horizon and brought that to the lab for sieve analysis. And under CMR 154051I, sieve analysis in lieu of percolation test is allowed by local upgrade approval variance granted by the Board of Health. So we've requested that variance. I can share the plan with you if you'd like to see it, and go over that, or answer any questions you have about the request.
Or would you like to see the plans?
Sure.
Let's see here. Everyone see that?
Double click to enter full screen mode. There we go.
Okay, so what we utilized here is a Presby Advanced Enviroseptic alternative leaching system. And what that allows us to do is have a 2-foot groundwater offset. Basically, when you utilize that system, you get it's constructed in such a way that it receives credit as a secondary treatment unit system, or something like a FAST or a BioClear or something, the denitrification, which is a mechanical clarifier in kind of in place of the septic tank. But with this system, you achieve that through a conventional gravity system with a tank and specific design criteria for the bed. But it remains a non-mechanical or non-pumped, non-pressure dose system. So you achieve higher quality effluent. You discharge to the field, which allows you a lesser groundwater offset for that. The area, so where we are here is, this is the existing house, and the driveway to the right of the screen, and it runs out of 1,000 feet or so to Milton Street. This is the backyard. There are some large oak and maple trees back here, but it's largely kind of a wide open yard area with just kind of large trees remaining or standing throughout. And we tested an area far enough away from the house that when we needed to elevate the system, didn't create a aesthetically unappealing mound. So it's lower in excuse me, lower in elevation, about 75 feet away from the house, but elevating the field there, we're able to match the grade over the system back into the yard area, and we are sloping down on the outside edge of it here still, but it allows this kind of area where the patio and fenced in utilized backyard is really allows that to kind of remain level. So we're bringing the sewer out here, 1,500 gallon tank, distribution box, leach field, very simple in principle. And that's what we've proposed. So we're here tonight for of the variance request we've filed for local upgrade approval just for the sieve analysis. And that came back as a sandy loam. So per the approval for that, you need to design on the most limiting percolation rate for the soil classification you get back from the analysis. For sandy loam, that was 30 minutes per inch. So the system has been designed for a 30-minute per inch perk rate.
Board, do you have any questions, Mr. Hayes?
I just wanted to, hi, it's Roxanne, just wanted to say a few things. One is I am a neighbor to this property, so I'm very familiar with the property. It is extremely far from the street. And there is the neighbor next door owns that right of way. Because we used to actually own that. So I am very familiar with this whole area and with this whole system. The one question I do have, just I noticed that there is erosion control and wetland buffer. So just can you address that piece? Do you have to go to conservation for that? Or how does that work? Just because people might want to know that piece of it.
Yeah, I put the erosion control in because we did identify wetlands off site, and we're within 100 feet of it. The grade isn't tremendously great, and we don't need to take down any trees in the buffer zone to do it. So I'm hopeful that we can just file a request for determination of applicability. But I wanted to confer with the Conservation Commission department to just get their advice on how to proceed. I don't think that this should warrant a full notice of intent wetland permit app, but again, it's up to their discretion. So it may.
I mean, that was just my only question, just because I saw it here, and I know sometimes we've had things that applicants run by conservation, whether it's formally or informally, and also by us, obviously. So those were only my questions. I don't know if anybody else has any questions.
I'm just looking at Mr. Paul Brogna's remarks. He said, we would suggest that the board consider granting the variance and approving the plan with the conditions that there is no increase in flow. Number 2, the as-built plan show the final grade elevations over the entire septic system. And number 3, the name of the service contract to be provided to ensure compliance with the Title V requirements for the operation and maintenance of the system. That's what he said. But he did say yes, that he does approve the plan on those conditions too. Would you like to approve sieve analysis?
I'll make a
more
motion to approve it with those conditions. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you. Okay. Next up is number 5. Body art establishment practitioner permit requested for scalp micropigmentation by John Toddy, Scalp Designs, to be located at 464 Granite Ave in Milton. And Mr. Toddy came in a couple of weeks ago, and he brought some information with him to show me a little bit about exactly what scalp micropigmentation is. And I'm hoping tonight that he would explain that further to the board, his
Yes.
plans for this. Take it
Yes.
away, Mr. Toddy.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to come to the meeting. Again, my name is John Tody. I'm the owner of Scalp Designs. I've been running Scalp Designs for 10 years. So scalp micropigmentation is the replication of hair follicles. So pretty much my clientele is people who have hair loss. And SMP is deposited into the upper dermis, which is just below the epidermis. So there's no actual bleeding, and it's just a singular dot. So it pretty much just replicates a hair follicle, a single hair follicle, and it helps all men and women with hair loss. I have clients from all walks of life. Like today, I had a client who had a POC, suffering and had a lot of hair loss from that. A woman. Half my clients are women. And yeah, I actually started working with a hair restoration company called Di Stefano Hair Restoration about 10 years ago. I started with them, and I worked for a couple years before I opened up my own place. So I've been in Stoughton I'd say for the past 8 years. And Milton, the majority of my clients are in Boston. So many of them can't get to where I actually am. And a lot of them don't have cars these days too. They take Ubers. So I actually lose a lot of clientele because of where I'm actually at. So that's why Milton's a great town. I'm from Walpole. So I'm very familiar. My son just graduated and, we football with Milton all the time. Very familiar with Milton. And I know it's a really friendly, nice town. And it's just perfect. Like where it's right near the city, but it's not in the city. So that's why I came to you, Carolyn, and just brought as much as I could. I know it's a new procedure. I'm pretty much like, I think there's one other person doing it in Peabody. And I think it really, it's not technically like tattooing, right? But it's not surgery. It's micropigmentation. It's just single dots of hair. And that's what it is. I just deposit single dots of hair. Also, like tomorrow, one of my clients is a man who had a hair restoration treatment and he has scars in the back of his head. So what I do is I camouflage that scarring by placing just singular dots. And that creates a three-dimensional, we call it an illusion of hair. And pretty much it just really restores confidence. It's a cosmetic procedure that for everybody, pretty much. And yeah, so I found this place, 464 Granite Street. I went in, talked to them, and then I came to you, right, that day. And I know you didn't really this is pretty new. And I just wanted to present it to you. I thought it's just like I could bring a lot to the town. Like I get a lot of people from Milton, to be honest with you. It's a great thing to have. I go to like a lot of salons and I actually hand out brochures just to, tell them, and they always keep the brochures there and send me a lot of clients. It's really like a great procedure. And I've always, I don't know if you've seen my reviews, but I've been doing this for a while and I've always been extremely professional, extremely likable to everybody. And and when it comes to safety, I'm very safety cautious when it comes to that. And I line up everything before I do anything. And so that's why I submitted a lot to you, I believe, a lot of things to you. But the other thing I had was, so the insurance, right? I have marine insurance. And if I actually was to work out of Granite Street, I would just need a separate agreement with them. And I talked to them about that. And then waste management would be going through Stericycle, where they come every month and they pick up the waste management. Other than that, it's one client at a time. I may work on one or two clients a day. And a lot of the time I'm in there doing just I do consultations, a lot of consultations with people, just educating people on what this is and they think about it. And I do a lot of marketing. Because I still got to educate people on what this is. But no one that's done this has ever regretted it. It's a very professional service. It really is. And I think it would really fit the Milton very well. I really think a lot of people would be really happy that this is something that, they have in their town. Because I know a lot of people suffer from this. And, me personally, I know. So, yeah, that's why I came to Milton. And
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
It says designs. So like designs, what kind of designs?
Good question. So that's just for the male hairline and women back of the women's hairlines.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I have a lot of women who need the back of their hairline design, and that's just bringing back the frame.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the design is the frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a good question
And
because
then what kind of license do you have? Is it a tattoo-like license or what
yes,
kind of
it's
license is
a
that?
body art license.
Mhm.
So it would be a body art. It's a body art license, and it's you need to get a license in every separate town. It's not a statewide license. So each town pretty much just looks, sees if this person knows what they're doing, has been doing it for a while, and is not a risk.
So
And
if
then,
someone came in to you and said, I'm going to have this done, and then they said, oh, I want you to put a monogram on my arm or a
Yeah.
picture of a fish or something, that
yeah,
could you?
go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, go somewhere else. And people ask me all the time, and absolutely not. This is all I do. I don't tattoo. I don't do anything other than scalp micropigmentation. And I have a lot of clientele, and I've built it up over the years where people come in every 3 years for a touch up. So at this point, I have enough clients where I'm doing touch ups. And so people are constantly coming in doing touch ups. I have people who fly in. I work on the holidays because people who have moved away come back for the holiday to their families, and that's when I do a touch up for them. It's interesting, but
And now, what if someone has a reaction? How do you handle that?
it's another great question. So to this day, no one's ever had a reaction at all, and this is speaking like worldwide. So I'm also a member of. We do this thing, Meeting of the Minds, where we meet every year, and usually this year it's in London. Last year it was in Miami, and I haven't heard one time about anybody having a bad reaction because it just doesn't go deep enough. As long as you know what you're doing,
Mhm.
you know. But it just doesn't go deep enough. Unlike tattooing goes very like two layers deeper, where this almost feels like acupuncture. So if you've ever had like an acupuncture, pretty much it's very similar. Very similar. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Great question.
Hi, I have a couple questions too. So
Yes.
thank you. It's very interesting. So sounds like every 3 years you'd have to do a little touch up or something.
Yes.
What is the actual product that's used? How does it differ from the tattooing ink?
Yeah,
What kind of product? And you said it just goes into the epidermis, the top layer, correct?
The upper dermis, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the top layer. So what I actually have is I actually have it right here. It's called I don't know if you guys can see that. It's its own pigmentation
Yeah.
for scalp micropigmentation. It's
Mhm.
actually 100% organic. It's made out of charcoal, 100% charcoal. So there's actually no dyes. So in tattoo ink, it's about 30% dyes. They
Mhm.
use like blue greens. That's where you get that greenish, bluish like hue. Where with this, it's 100% charcoal, and the way I lighten it up is distilled water. So you mix it with distilled water. So I can do anyone's hair color, no matter what. Because I'm matching the actual follicle, not the actual hair. So it's always going to be a shade. And I just put a little more distilled water in it if I'm gonna work on someone with, say, like blonde hair. But yeah, this is what it is. It's by a company called Follicle out of New York, and I have a MDS sheet with it and everything that I make sure it's always up to date. And yeah, we've never had an issue with it, but that's the only ink we use. I use.
And then how do you apply it? What are you using to apply it? Is it like a little brush or is it? I'm just
So
trying to.
it's like this. So I don't know if see this. It's like a tattoo gun. So you put a little needle into it, and you just push dots, like dots.
So how often are you cleaning that in? What's the process of cleaning it and changing the needles and all sorts of things like that?
Good question. So the needles, it's one-time use. So you take one needle, take it out, you put it in, and you throw it away. And then you get another needle, put it in, throw it away. Usually in one session, I'll go through usually 3 needles because I believe just keep cleaning it. Just put a fresh one on, and then you just wipe down the equipment with germicide, and that kills anything with the gun. Where the whole system before with like the autoclaves, because everything's just one-time use, throwaway, there's actually no autoclave system anymore. So it's just one-time use, throwaway. And there's wraps that I wrap the gun with. And then I also throw that away after every person too.
And how do you prep the skin before you do this? What are you using to prep the skin area?
So we wash it with tincture soap. It's called tincture soap, green soap.
Mm-hmm.
And we just wipe down the scalp with that. Just make sure there's no dirt on it or nothing that could affect or cause an infection or anything like that. But I make sure, they drink a lot of water before they come in, stuff like that. It makes it easier for the skin to take it also. Those are good questions too.
Well, I guess just a follow-up question to that is, I know you were saying that nobody really has had any allergies to any of the stuff. People can have allergies or develop them at any time. So I'm just wondering, even though you haven't had any, what do you have in for a, process in case something did happen? For instance, a tincture soap, I don't know what's in it, but I'm a nurse practitioner. So I'm just telling you, I see people that have never had problems. Sometimes they develop problems, and it can even be for something as simple as a soap. It could be a perfume in a soap. It could be anything. And so sometimes we do see this. So I'm just trying to understand from your perspective,
Absolutely.
what you have in place for that in case of, even though you haven't had any, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. So I tell them before I even use the tincture soap, like what it is. I show them before I even actually use that too, and just to make sure. And if something did happen, I would probably call the doctor I worked with. I've called them because of a bad hair transplant from a client, and that's Dr. DiStefano. And he's someone that I'm personally good friends with, and call him and say, can we help? Because he's an actual doctor. Because it's happened before, but not because of what I did. It's because someone went to Turkey and had a hair transplant, and they had an infection, and they came in, and I'm like, oh wow, I can't work on you. And so I'm like, let me call Mark DiStefano, and he had them come right in, and he prescribed them stuff. So if something happened, I would call someone like him, or like a nurse, somebody. I would definitely take it serious. Yeah.
I'm just thinking that I guess my only thing I would say with that is great that you're doing that. I'm just thinking if something acutely happened in the process, like what would you like, because that's important too. So you're working on somebody, you're prepping them, something starts to go wrong. What do we do? That's all.
I would stop, call 911.
Okay. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Just because I'm thinking weird things do happen. Weird things can happen. So
if something just like irregularly happened, stop, call 911. That's it. Get the professionals in. Oh yeah. And I would know after 10 years of doing it, I would definitely, you just know it, like as a nurse, when something's off, if something's going off. And I've had clients who can't, after like a couple hours, I'm like, you know, they're good. They're at that time where it's like the skin's like, I'm like, you know, your skin's good. We're good. We're done for today. And you just know the limits to put, you know what I'm saying? The skin talks to you too, you know, and you listen to it. And you know what I'm saying? And after a while, you build a relationship with the skin. And I think that's a real important thing too, you know, is to understand that. But yeah, 911.
Thank you. And then I just
welcome.
wanted, and I wanted to ask Caroline if you could talk a little bit about the body art license, what things he would need to have and what he's provided.
It's pretty extensive what he needs to provide. He mentioned Star Cycle. He has provided a lot of information. I know Carolyn has put some information in, uploaded into Permitize. I'm not sure if all the information, but I know you provided a lot of information, the bloodborne pathogens. I know that you went to Ruth Jones in Quincy and took her skincare class a couple of years ago before she retired. And I know she had a great class in Quincy. And I'm sorry that they stopped that, but I think a lot of people were. But I know you went through that class.
That the CPR, I gave you that. I have my first aids.
Yep.
I also have my bloodborne pathogens. Yeah, and those are the main things for the bloodborne pathogens, the CPR, and the skin course for body art. And those were I gave you those, and then yeah, I think those are the main things right there. Yeah, exactly. And then it was experience. That's another thing. That's a big thing. Like experience. I'm not someone, if I'm someone new coming in, it's like, hey, you know, I want to do this here. I've never done it before. You know, like this is something I've done. I'm very comfortable with. It's my niche. This is what I love to do. And like I just love it, you know. I really do. I love being with my clients and just like, you know, you get a lot out of it, and you really do. I really am helping people, you know, helping people bring back their confidence, and the whole relationship with like everybody in the hair salons and stuff. I was at a couple in Canton today, this week, talking to people. There's always, you know, it's great. It's great. And I saw in Milton, you got a lot of nice hair salons there too. So yeah, it's I think it would work out good. Really do.
Any other questions, board?
No, thank you for
No,
answering.
thank you.
Yeah,
Very interesting because it's something different, you know?
it's different. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's
definitely
good
different.
service.
Yeah, it is. It's a great service. Like I've had, you know, parents bring like their kid that's in college, a girl that was so stressed out, she was pulling her hair, and just like the clumps were coming out, and they brought her in, and I was able to give her a good amount of density where she can now like actually put her hair like in a ponytail again, because she couldn't do it. And she's like in school, and she was like over the moon happy, like, oh my God, I can wear a ponytail again. I'm like, yes. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
That made my
That's
day.
great.
That
That's
is
great.
cool.
Yeah,
That is nice.
yeah. That's what it's all about. It really is. Yeah, it really is. It's positive. It's a positive thing. Definitely opposite from like a body, like a tattoo shop. Like completely different. You know what I'm saying? It's just like and it's always just one-on-one. I only have one client at a time. There's never anyone else in there. It's just, yeah, that's the way I've always done it. Because, you know, people want their space, especially when it comes to stuff like that, you know? Yeah, privacy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
And then Caroline, do you have to inspect the spot and everything?
Yes. So we'll work with him to make sure that the sinks and there's the mop sinks and we'll look at everything he's using, all the needles, all his equipment, the dot, whatever that was, the
Yeah,
molecule. Yeah, we'll look into that. We'll make sure that everything is okay going forward. And there was a nice video that you showed me in the office about if you can send me that, I can send it to the board because I
yeah,
haven't seen that before, that video, and that really shows what you do and
yeah.
how you create it.
That was the video of me doing the actual SMP. I think this was
Yeah, so it places each dot.
yeah.
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like a hair follicle.
yeah,
Yeah, it does.
interesting.
Isn't it?
Now, I had a question about like signage. What would the sign say? We don't usually talk about signage. This is basically out of curiosity. Because signage isn't that's not what we do, but I'm just curious. So if it said Scalp Designs, do you have people that like knock on the door and say, "Oh, can you do do they understand that?"
So it is a great question. So it's I don't have people actually, all my clients are from online. So I don't actually like have people actually come in ever off the street. And I wouldn't actually, even there, I wouldn't put a sign. I'd have a sign inside, but I really, because I don't want people just actually coming in, because it is a great question.
The
And
privacy, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's more just a brand name.
Yeah, I see.
Where
Yeah.
exactly.
It's just, people will know that you're there.
They'll know that I'm there, but I'm not gonna have it posted outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not gonna be anything like that. But they'll know. They'll come in and maybe they're like in a directory, right inside the building.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I have it here, where I'm at
Mm.
right now in Stoughton. Same thing. Yes.
What hours do you work? Do you work like,
So typically I work 9 to 5. Yeah, and also Saturdays, always Saturdays, because I got a
yeah,
lot
people
of
are off?
clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of clients, it's such an important thing to them that like a client tomorrow coming in, he just like works for himself. He's like, I'm just taking it off to come in to see you. He's like, I gotta get this done.
Yeah, good.
He's like, I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Good.
Yeah. So it's priority to the clients. It really is. Because I do good work. I really do. Like they're getting what they want, They really are. They're getting what they want, and it's guaranteed. And they know that. So it's a priority. So I can work just regular hours, which is really nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So would the board like to vote now, or do you want me to go back, and if you have any more information that you want, I can send it to you? And maybe you can make your decision later in the week. How does the board feel?
Well, does he doesn't have everything in yet, right? That he needs to get put in? Should we wait for the vote on that?
What's your timeline, Mr. Tui? I mean, we're not gonna meet for another probably 6 weeks.
Yeah, I have everything. I've given everything.
Okay.
The only thing I don't have is my which I need to have an actual address, is the waste management contract, and to bring my insurance from over here to there. And I just need an address. So I need to actually sign, because the lease. Because right now I have the guy holding it he was waiting for the meeting and to see if I was going to be able to do it or not. And then, but other than that, I had given everything that I had need to give into. I gave you everything. I believe so.
I can check with Carolyn to make sure everything's there. But I know a lot of it's already uploaded into Permanize. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say if you say it's there, I'll check with Carolyn.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
is there, all of it.
So vote pending all those things, vote now, provided he brings all these things.
Yes.
I think we could do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess I'll make a motion that we approve this application pending confirmation of what's outstanding, Caroline.
Yes.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Oh.
All in favor?
Awesome.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Great.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Good
we'll
luck.
be in touch.
All
Yes.
right. Thanks,
Good-
Carolyn.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, next up, number 6, results of the opioid community assessment that was done by Sky, Bryce Cole. Discussion and the grant application approval. So I can bring up the report. See. Does everybody see that on the,
Yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
does everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So as you know, Sky's been working with us diligently over the last year, gathering all of the information, the engagement with the community, and Emily was able to put together a report of everything that we found out. So we can go through it a little bit. Let me see. Make this small here for a minute. Did I lose that?
Mm-mm.
Do you still see it?
Yes.
I don't see it. Hold on for a second. It just dropped out. Okay, do you see it again? Emily, are you able to advance that?
No, because it's on your screen. We can see it. If you have it on your screen now, you should try scrolling and see if it moves.
Okay.
Okay, it's not moving.
No. Well, you have it in front of you, but I would like to see if I can, let's see, hold on.
I should be able to pull it up if you can't get it, Carol.
Let's see if I can, there it is there. Okay, I got it. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. All right, so what we've accomplished over the last year, it says here in your report, we had to find out how much the total amount that we have so far, but we found it out, it's $421,227.02. And just a reminder that we're going to be getting $1.3 million through the year 2038. With that, we have so far hired a recovery coach. We have Narcan distribution right now. We have free Narcan. It's in the foyer of the town hall. And Emily and Ann put together a PowerPoint presentation about that. If anyone has a question about how to give Narcan, we went to a Narcan training. We've received technical assistance from Care Mass and engaged the community through Sky, through her leadership. No. Methodology is next. Let's see. Okay. So as you know, Sky was hired to lead the community engagement work. Work was completed August 2024 to June 2025. We had weekly working groups. She interviewed key informant interviews, 11 focus groups. She had 4. She had a focus group for loved ones, individuals in recovery, community partners, and service providers. We also had a community survey, and there's 110 responses from that. We distributed those survey in paper, but also through the schools, through social media, through Milton Times. Going backwards. Okay, findings. What we found is stigma and shame. That stigma hinders open conversations, prevents individuals from seeking help, and affects those struggling with an addiction and their families. Early education and prevention, importance of starting the conversations about substance use at a young age, family and community support, need for more support groups and resources, bereaved families, access to treatment and resources, accessibility and affordability of treatment options, and more inclusive programs. They wanted more Narcan availability and trainings for that, so we've made Narcan available in the town hall foyer. Coordination among community groups, need for better coordination and communication in town agencies and businesses. And the findings in the community survey, as I said, we had 110 responses. The majority of the respondents were between 55 and 64 years of age. The survey was distributed over a 6-month period. We had varied levels of awareness about resources or supports, uncertainty about how the opioids impacted the community, mixed satisfaction regarding support for individuals and families affected, and there was barriers to accessing services for diverse populations. The top priorities were enhancing treatment options, supporting individuals in recovery, youth education and prevention, and community awareness and stigma reduction. I think we might have gone past one. Let's see, back it up one. Emily, can you help me along here? I keep on going backwards instead of forwards.
You should be able to just use the up and down arrows on your keyboard.
Maybe I'll go down here and see if I can do it. Okay, there we go. Let me do this one. Findings of key informant interviews, gaps in parental awareness and misconceptions, gaps in youth support, public health communications, need for better communications, more centralized location for information, better support for families impacted by addiction. There's not enough data out there, limited access to mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. They have to travel further in Quincy and Dorchester, recovery barriers and support needs, need for basic resources, money, jobs and dignity, financial and social instability. Community feedback for allocating the opioid funds. There was quite a bit of feedback that we got about how we can disperse the money. Sober living scholarships, paying for funeral or burial of support for families, arts extracurricular activities for individuals in recovery that were impacted, substance misuse related training as trauma informed for first responders who were responding to opioid overdoses and open to the public, some grief and other support for children and families impacted, and then also high school scholarships for either college or technical school for individuals affected. Going forward, best practices for allocating the spending was informed by other communities in the area, and actually, we'll talk next about how Dedham has put together a grant process. We did check with Westwood, Randolph, Norwood, Walpole, Needham, and Wellesley, and Canton, and really, those other towns really haven't, they are not as far along as we are in this process, but Dedham is a little bit further, so that we used Dedham's grant application, which I thought was very good. We tweaked it. And we can talk further about, in Dedham, they have their grant applications open twice a year. I don't know if the board wants it open twice a year or one time a year. We've developed the grant application. I think I put it into the packets, and we can go over that. If you were to do it twice a year, the grant funding would be opened up September 1st, October 15th. This can be changed if you want to change February 1st to March 15th. And then the health department staff would review the grant applications to award the funding with final approval from the Board of Health. And then plan for some more feedback and maybe a potential evaluation in 3 to 5 years to see how the grants are going. Some of the questions: how can we provide access to programs and classes? So this is another thing that came up. People are struggling with substance misuse, or maybe they're getting sober, and the yoga or the Reiki might be beneficial to them, or even taking an art class. How can that be managed? How much money are we looking to spend each year in the grant cycle? Dedham has grants up to $30,000. The board would have to decide, like, does $30,000 seem like a good number? $20,000? Are there opportunities to either partner or fund organizations that are already distributing funds to individuals? So this might be a sober house. Would be okay to distribute that, maybe if they apply for a grant funding. So again, Dedham has this $30,000 limit, and they also have it could be renewed yearly for the Board of Health. Dedham also has smaller grants open on a rolling basis for $1,000. So something like $1,000. This could be a scholarship for maybe a technical school they want to go to, or maybe they're buying some books for classes or something. There's also, we're talking actually in schools today. Ann and I met with the schools, maybe a $2,500 scholarship. This is for families that have been impacted by opioids, and I can foresee maybe a student writing a testimonial that they would use the money to advance themselves in a program or in a college class. But we've got a lot of great information, and we're thankful for Sky, helping us along the way and putting all this information together. But really is up to the board where they want to go with this next. I did also put in your packets the opioid abatement funds grant request. Do you have a chance, board, to see that? Did you take a look at that? Oh, let's see. I thought I lost you. I'm glad you're still there. Do you want me to bring up on the screen the opioid abatement funds grant request? Did you have a chance to look at that, board?
Caroline, I have a question on the Dedham one, the 30,000. So have they allocated that yet? And what have they allocated that to? And what have they used with their mini grants? You started to say a little bit about it. I'm just sort of curious.
So I don't know how many rounds they've already had. They haven't, I think they just started. So none of the other towns have started this mini grant process, but it was talked about, this mini grant process.
And their larger grant, they haven't done yet either.
So they only have their funding up to 30,000. This is in Dedham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you also going to mention this Norfolk County Sheriff's Office thing?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
You want me to mention that now?
I think I would, yeah.
Yep, sure. So I was contacted by Abigail Griffin just last week, from the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office. And she said that they are looking for opioid funding towards sober housing for individuals. So this is someone that may be at their facility. They're ready to come back into the community, but they need some sober housing. And so when we were talking, I said to her, you know, how much does it cost for sober housing per week? And first she said 150, but then I said, well, write it down and send it to me. Send me your proposal. And she said it's $180 to $300 per week, depending on the site. And then I just said to her, well, you know, what's the cap? Like, how many weeks shall we pay for? I mentioned 2,500. I mean, you guys can mention more than that or less than that. She said that 2,500, let's say, will be about 2 months of sober housing for individuals. I mean, if after 2 months they're still struggling, maybe they can come back and say, well, like, we need another 2,500 because we have an individual that's struggling, or maybe they've relapsed again or something, and they would like another $2,500 for the sober housing. So I've never heard from her before. She's reaching out, I think, to all the towns too. She wants to get a plan. Our Norfolk County Sheriff's Office wants to get an MOU or a plan in place in case someone needs to go into sober housing and maybe they don't have insurance. Maybe they do have insurance and still costs money. And so this would be helping them go into sober housing. So that's something that came to my attention last week. So I don't know if you want to approve this Norfolk County Sheriff's Office. You can say $2,500, you know, if they do identify someone from Milton who needs to go into sober housing, if we get an MOU from them. What are your thoughts?
I think it sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think it is a great idea.
What do they do though about when these people need to go to sober housing, but there's no sober housing available? Like, where do they go? Or they just go home and wait for it to open up, or?
They may have to go home and wait for it to open
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I mean,
I'm not
how many
sure.
are available? Is it like, you know, with mental health, you know, these people are waiting and waiting and waiting. Is it the same situation of people waiting for sober housing? And
It may be. It says that this would be paid by the sober home billing, the town of Milton. So I'm not sure how they identify who the where the sober housing is, but they must be doing that. They're identifying where to send this person, and then they'll contact us and say, you know, we have somebody that's going to be going into sober living, you know, at such and such a place. And then we can say, oh, we do have a $2,500, you know, scholarship or some money for sober housing for individuals. It hasn't come up before. This is the first time they reached out to me about this. I thought it was
Must be a new. It must be a new
Yeah.
program then.
Right.
But they're trying to get an MOU. You know.
That's right. Try to get an MOU before they have to, you know, place somebody or there's not enough funds or whatnot.
well, sounds
It sounds-
great
I
to
would
me.
approve that. I mean, I think that's a.
Definitely.
Do we need to make a motion
2,500
for
would
that?
cover what? 2 months?
2
Did you
2
say?
months.
So
Yeah.
it looks like it cover about 2 months. I mean,
Yeah.
they could come back after that and say, you know, we need a little bit more, and I could bring it before the board and say, you know, we need a little bit more than 2 months.
Yeah, I think it sounds
yeah.
Yeah, I would
Great.
agree with that. Do we need a motion for that one? Make a motion? I guess we probably should, right?
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we join this in MOU in this program for up to $2,500 for sober housing through the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office. Is there a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Did you guys get a chance to look at that, the grant request? As I said, it was modeled off of Dedham. Emily and I tweaked it a little bit, and we added some information. I think that we should probably bring it before town council just to make sure. There's one thing that I put in there. You might have seen it, Laura. So it's the Board of Health reserves the right to revoke funding if deliverables and project plans are not met. So I don't know if I can put that, but I'm just envisioning maybe somebody, applies for the grant. Let's say the board says, oh, $30,000, that sounds great. And they have a really great grant application, but in 6 months they are kind of faltering and there's not much progress or whatnot. And so I think there needs to be something put in there to say, well, wait a minute,
Yeah, I agree.
what's
Absolutely.
going on here, or things aren't being met, but yeah. And then we have to spend it in the program categories that we have to spend it in those programs. So if it's not in the category of like prevention or education, treatment services, then they're not going to get it. And then there's that rubric to go through it. And really the health department, the applications can come to Emily and we can look them over, see which ones rise to the top. And then we can bring it to the board. See what you think about funding.
Caroline, maybe under where it says requesting funding amount, like if someone needed to get it again, like something else, some other line that indicates that it's the second grant or,
So it says, that's why I yelled at it. I wasn't sure what you wanted. It says request for renewal of funding can be included in the year-end report. So after they do it for a year, they can say,
okay.
will you consider?
Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry. Okay.
That's all right, for a second year. Or even, if it's really doing well and they're helping a lot of people in Milton and, after the second year, they can say, look at how many people we've helped. Like,
Right.
maybe they could do a third year. I mean, it's up to the board with how many times they want to renew something. Now, what do you think about funding up to $30,000?
Let's see, 30,000.
Applicants must be not-for-profit.
Is that for the 30,000 would be for, I can't find my place where I lost. That's what Dedham was doing?
Yep, Dedham was doing up to 30,000.
So they're doing it, looks like twice a year.
Yes.
So I guess my question would be, I know you also mentioned that they do some smaller grants too. So just trying to get a sense of what we're thinking here in terms of what we would do. Would we be doing smaller grants and 30,000s, or would we do 30,000 once a year and smaller grants? Or I'm just trying to understand what we're thinking here for the board.
Yeah,
And do we have to give a $30,000? Like if someone
Right.
comes in and it looks like they can do it for 20,
Yeah.
can we give them 20,000 and, but then what do you do with the other 10?
Right.
And how did they, I'm just out of curiosity, how did they come up with 30,000 twice a year? What were they basing that on? Just trying to understand how they got that number.
So Dedham had an opioid abatement task force. So there was a task force that they put together to figure out about the $30,000. So I'm not sure exactly, as I said, this is very new. And I mean, you could change this after the first year, or you could lower the amount. You could say, well, it's only $20,000. But we have 1.3 million coming in over till 2038. So
and we have 100-something thousand now, it looks like.
we have 400,000. Yeah. So
Well, I mean, right now, yeah.
Yeah. So we
could change it no matter what, so we could raise it or lower it.
Right.
Maybe lower it a bit, lower it and then.
Like 25?
Yeah, 20, like 20. I mean, our town is a lot smaller than Dedham's, right? The population wise. And
Well, their numbers might be different in terms of opioid use too.
Right,
You know
that's what I
And-
mean.
And
That's what I
substance
mean.
abuse. I don't know.
So maybe considering that we can go for something after 20 might be
Maybe for the first year,
yes.
kind of see how it goes.
See how it goes, and then we can
Evaluate it.
use our knowledge for whether we go up or down.
Yeah. that sounds like a good idea.
Are you still thinking once or twice a year then with this?
I would say twice.
I think twice a year
I
would
think
be, what do you think,
twice, just
Laura?
so we can get
Yeah.
some control over it, like some
Right.
kind of
Well, do
real.
you have, I guess, do you have the time? Is it going to be a lot of work
Hmm.
for you? Do you have the time to do it twice a year, or is it better to do it once the first year and see how
Right.
it goes and then go into, I mean, I would think it would be time consuming. And I know you don't have a whole lot of extra time.
Right.
So maybe once and then see how it goes. And then maybe do it twice the next year.
Yeah, that's
I think that sounds
That's
good. I
reasonable,
mean, well, you
too.
could reevaluate it after the first
After the
time
first
and
one, we
see.
could even add it later. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Let's start with the once and then go from there. The other question I guess I have is, it looks like, and I looked at it just quickly, but like nonprofit groups and things like that, but can individuals, so, say somebody, I'm just thinking their spouse goes into rehab or something and needs some assistance. How does that work with this?
So if it's more individual, it might be testimonial. So we'd require to be a different application than this. Maybe, you don't want to be too much of a hurdle for people to apply, but maybe, 2 or 3 paragraphs to say like, yes, my husband needs some funds for, for
rehab.
recovery or whatnot. And
Would
Or
it
maybe
be kind of
counseling
like the
for
Milton
senior-
Residence Fund?
yeah, it would have to be like, you'd probably say $2,500.
Mhm.
Even with like the grants for maybe technical school or to take a class, I'm envisioning that like in after January, maybe is it a simpler application is $2,500 for like a scholarship for high school student to go towards technical school or to take a college course or something like that. Yeah, or even someone might approach us for burial costs. Someone has passed away from opioids.
Mhm.
I can we can talk a little bit more about this, of course, in the next board meeting about, is it $5,000 that we're going to put aside for our burial costs? So there's a lot of moving parts, but I just wanted to, put this out there and hope that maybe in September we can at least move the application forward. So it's up to the board, how much money they want to spend. But I'm thinking with the testimonials or these smaller grants, is it $1,000? Is it $2,500? It doesn't have to be this big grant process here because that's too cumbersome. It'd be more of
Yeah.
a testimonial.
I mean, it seems like for this particular one that we're talking about, this one that you've provided,
Yeah.
that if you did the 20 up to 25,000 on this larger one, it sounds like,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
For the first year and see where it goes, but that there are opportunities for some smaller things that might pop up because I wouldn't want somebody that might be struggling with something that we could possibly help with where we have the funding, whether it's, like
Well-
you said, helping with a burial or helping with care for, maybe they have to go into rehab and they need some childcare or whatever it may be. I would want to
Yep.
make sure that we have the ability to do that, and we also have a cap on it too, right?
Yeah.
Could we set aside, like I said, there's like the Milton Residence Fund, do something like that for immediate needs of people who, and you don't have to use it if no one applies for it, but you'd have it there.
Right.
That's a good
Just-
idea.
Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could have a cap up to $10,000 and put it aside and say, or maybe 20,000, maybe another $20,000 to, maybe in the first year, and then see how many people apply.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 That sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So you're thinking $25,000 for a grant request for the first year, and then we'll see how it goes and maybe
I
increase it
thought we
up.
said 20. Did we say 20? I thought
We said
Mary said 20.
Okay, you said 25 is 20?
I mentioned 20, I think.
Yeah, up
Okay,
Yeah.
20,
20s.
20.
I have a question. what if you get two applications that both sound great? Can we say, these both sound great, we'll give 40? I mean, the 20 and 20, we could do
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Even though
I
we're
don't-
only, yeah.
I don't think you'd have to limit yourself to 20. Is that what you're thinking? Just $20,000 or?
No, I just meant if someone came in, two different groups came in with, where are we limited if we say we're giving one to only give one, or could we give them both 20,000?
I think you can give them both $20,000.
Mhm.
I mean, it's up
Yeah.
to you how many grants you want to bring
Mhm.
forward. If you even
Yeah.
saw 3 grants that were excellent, you might say, well, you know
Okay.
what? Let's do 3 grants.
Mhm.
We'll have
Okay.
to see what comes
Yeah,
forward.
comes through, yeah.
Yep. All right. Do you think 20,000 is enough? I guess I'm kind of going back and forth with that 20, 25.
Well, you could always revisit it though, Caroline. You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
could say 20, see what they come in, and then, you know what I mean? And you can always revisit it. I mean, that's the good thing about it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we're
Right.
just sort
Why
of
we-
like they came with 30. Everybody is going to throw a number
do
out
something
there.
different.
So, right.
Yep.
We don't even know yet. So, I mean,
So
that would be
let's
my thought.
do the 20 and then put aside a certain amount for smaller things, like those scholarships or the burials. Do you want to put aside another 20
Like, so
maybe?
we're like up to 10,000 or up to something like that, or up to,
Maybe put 10,000 aside for,
what do you think, Laura?
I don't know, is that enough? If,
Well, you could always revisit it though, right?
Yeah, true,
Because we don't even
true.
know what's going to come in. I
we're
mean, that's
just,
the thing
it's a
about it.
starting point.
yeah, that's true, that's true.
Yeah.
So that could be aside for smaller grants for up to a certain amount of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did we find it what the cap would be at this point? Are we
Okay.
going to do the 2,500
I
or?
know when Ann and I were meeting with the schools today, there's a program. Do you want to do the
What?
25? Do you
25,
hear me? 25?
yeah.
Yeah,
And then we're also doing that other program too with the sheriff's department. You have that down too, right?
Yep.
mhm.
Okay.
Do you want the 2,500? Do you want to do just $1,000 scholarships too?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And again,
I know-
we'll see when we see what comes in.
When
You know
they
what I
ask,
mean?
we'll see.
Yeah, we see where there's most people seem to need.
Yeah,
Because $1,000 doesn't go
Right.
that far now, so.
Right, right. I know when Ann and I met with the schools today and they were talking about a program. I believe the program was $28,000 a year. So they were asking about would the opioid monies be able to pay for that? And I said, well, we have a grant process and potentially. I didn't know what the number you guys had come up with, but I said, you can write a grant for it and see.
what's it for?
You know what, I have to investigate that more. They gave me paperwork on it and I hadn't heard of it before.
Okay.
But I said, we have this grant process and if you wanted to fill that out, bring it to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, that sounds good.
Sounds great.
Okay, so then moving along. Oh, do you want to approve the grant request? What we just talked about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I move to approve it.
I'll second.
All in
All
favor?
in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Yeah, good. Thank you. All right, number 7, to amend the health fee schedule.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this a couple of times, and Carolyn did put some more information together about Dover, Sudbury, Wayland, Carlisle, and Sherburne, how much they charge. I know the concerns from the board is presently the septic system plan review is $100 for the initial plan and $50 for revision. I spoke to Carolyn Poe about the way Permatize is set up. And she said the engineer usually starts the process in Permatize, so they would be paying the first installment. And then the second installment will be paid by the installer. And before that, we give the certificate of compliance before we issue that. So the second payment would be the installer. So then the question became, how much money, would this be? I know there was talk about 250 up front and then the remainder of it on the second payment. And then we put together, Jean actually put together the spreadsheet of what's the average spent on the septic plans. And we found out that 12 paid more than 500 and 11 paid less than 500. So it's kind of like the middle is about 500 and 3 addresses paid more than 750. So it's up to you, board, if you want to make that first payment from the engineer to be 250, if you want it to go up a little bit higher, and then the balance would be the installer would pay, and then they'd have to go back to the homeowner and get reimbursed for that. But we were going to put language in definitely about how the fee is variable depending on the complexity of the septic system. And then if it's less than 250 and they pay 250, then a refund check will be issued. And then in the health department, the health agent and the senior clerk will manage the spreadsheet. So there's like an internal spreadsheet that Carolyn and Jean will be kind of toggling back and forth on to track the payments. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So can you just review for a minute? So you're saying that the engineer will pay the 250 when he gets the permit?
Yeah.
And then the other amount is from who?
So
The installer?
then the installer pays the second part. Yep, and that's due before the certificate of compliance is issued.
And so for that amount, is that what we're talking about for specifically then above the 250?
So so we're trying to make it so kind of both of them will pay about the same amount, I suppose. You don't want to have the engineer pay like a small amount and then the installer pay a lot bigger amount, but we're trying to make it kind of even, where either the engineer is going to pay maybe 250, the installer will be 250, that's 500, but let's say it's higher than 500. Do we want to increase that up to say like 300 up front and then the rest for the installer?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do other towns do with regards to that? Are they doing it that way?
No,
Where they're charging the engineer a certain amount and the installer?
no. So the other towns, they're just charging it in one. But I think that you thought that, it can go up to 750, 800.
Right, but who are they charging that amount to is my question.
So
because right now you're looking at putting the engineer and the installer each having separate fees. I'm asking, like, what are the other towns? Who's paying that amount right now to the town?
I don't know what systems they have. See, we have Permatize. See, in the old days, it'd be different. There'd be just like one fee given.
Mhm.
And it would probably be from the engineer in the beginning. But with Permatize, the way it's set up, when I was speaking to Carolyn, she said usually the engineer, will pay up front, and then we wanted to split it up because it was so high of an amount. And we don't know in the end how much it's going to be either. So a little bit up front, Paul Brogna will review the plan, come up with a final number, and then the installer will get the second bill, the second installment. I think.
And presumably the
that-
homeowner is who pays it in the end, right?
Yes. So we'll be back to the homeowner.
It's just billed to the,
It was
Yeah.
Amy Dexter who said that. Amy Dexter came up with the 2 payments. So I had to talk with Amy because she's creating a sub account. And, I said, the board's worried because it's expensive. and to have one payment. She goes, why isn't it just broken up into 2 payments? I said, okay, can do that. You know, if it
Well, it'll
doesn't,
just get passed on to the
It's-
whoever's
it's
getting the job
back
done
to them.
anyway.
to the
Right.
homeowner anyways,
Yeah.
it's the homeowner that's gonna be paying for it.
So
Right.
does it make sense to just have one fee? Oh, but you don't know how much it's gonna cost right off.
That's what it
So-
is.
So okay, I just want to run this by you again. So now if say you decided, let's just use, for example, 250 the engineer, 250 the installer, and it runs more money. Who's going to make up that difference before they get the permit? It's going to be an installer, right? So if it ends up, it's 500 total, 250 on each end, and then it ends up being $600. So is the extra 100 going to come from the charge to the installer?
So we already know the cost of it because Paul Brogdon would give us the bill. So we're not gonna give a certificate of compliance until it's all paid. So we know, yep, so let's say Paul charges $250, or let's say Paul charges $500. We know it's $500. If they've already paid $250, it's $250 for the installer. So we know ahead of time, we're not gonna give them a certificate of compliance until the bill is paid in full. We're not gonna find out, oh, there's another 100 somewhere, because we'll know, Paul Brogdon charged this
Right.
amount, and that's it.
So if the 250 is paid and then Paul Brogner charges 700,
Yes,
the installer would pay
the
450,
balance,
the balance, yes.
yes,
So he'd
Yeah.
be hit with the bigger bill.
yes.
And I guess my question would be is, how is this differing from the way that it was done before? Can you just run that by me again? I'm just trying to understand this. So if there was an
So-
amount, isn't it sort of the same thing in a way? Because who's doing it now? Is the engineer that's doing this, or the installer? That's
So the
getting
engineer starts the process on permit.
right,
They start it, but who finishes it is the installer after it's done. So the engineer starts, then Paul Brogner
right.
looks at the plan, then the installer installs it into the ground. Then the installer is gonna say, like, I need a certificate of compliance for the house. And
And-
that's what we can say, yeah.
But who's paying that bill? Is it all on the installer at the end now? That's what I'm just trying to understand, because it's a one payment system now, right?
But we can change that, yeah.
No, I
Right,
know
but
that,
how
but I'm
does it
just trying
work
to,
now?
how does it work now? That's what I'm trying to understand. Who's
So
paying
one
that fee
payment.
now?
Who pays the fee?
Yeah.
So right now, it's probably the engineer that pays it. They pay it, and it's only like, it's $100. It's not a lot of money.
Oh,
And
so then,
concur that is it the engineer that starts it? I don't know if Emily's still there. I believe it's the engineer.
Yeah, it
That
is the
starts it.
engineer.
Yes, the engineer.
So I'm just trying, like I said, and I think this is what I'm trying to get at. I understand what the process is. I'm trying to understand the payment side of it. So there are all different costs for these numbers that you've provided us with, all these different addresses, right? So you pull out one of them that's $525. How did that work? Who paid the $525? That's what I'm trying to ask.
So we paid the $525. So the health department paid it. So Paul Brogna had a line item that we paid Paul Brogna. And so what we're doing is we're putting that
Hmm.
back on the homeowners, that they have to pay it. It's
So-
not the
But
health
somebody
department,
paid
but-
that. But
no,
still I'm
but
lost
see,
here.
we only charged the fee of $100. And
Yes.
so we were paying for, if it went over 100, we were paying.
Paying the,
Yes,
The
Yes.
board was,
Okay.
not the homeowner, not the
right,
engineer. It was money that is lost to us.
yes.
right. But it sounds like, I guess I'm still struggling with whether we really need to divide it into two different things.
Right,
And is
one
that more
payment.
work versus a one payment kind of thing that you say, you're looking at your average and maybe it's, $500, and anything above that you will get billed for and you won't be able to get your, permit for or whatever. Because I mean, as you said, 12 or more than 500, 11 or less than 500. And if you look at where they are, I mean, would they get rebated, the people that are less? We had talked about that too. So I don't know. I'm just trying to think, two payments sounds like, I don't know. if any other town's doing it that way. It seems like a lot of work versus just a one payment. And if you need to pay more because you needed more consulting, then you have to pay that.
Yeah, before you get your certificate of compliance.
Exactly.
So that's it. We don't know the number up front. Yeah, I mean, it can be consolidated, could be $750, but we just don't know until the
Right.
engineer submits the plan.
Right,
follow up.
but then you'd bill them before you get the certificate of compliance. Oh, but that has to go to the installer? Who gets a certificate of compliance? The
The
homeowner? The installer gets it?
Yes,
So that's why we'd be
any thoughts,
having the
Emily?
two payment.
Yeah, I mean, it was Amy who suggested the two payment. I know the board, sometimes it can be steep on just the first payment. It could be, as I said, $750, but Amy said, we can break it down to two. It won't seem as high.
Onerous.
Yeah.
But it's going to
onerous
two different
pay.
entities though, too.
Right.
I guess it's how it affects the health office. How does this, like Laura had said
Yeah.
before, like certain things are labor intensive and it's a lot of work. And Roxanne, you're kind of thinking it's going to be easy, do the one, just one and done type of thing.
So it would be
I'm
more work.
inclined to think the one and done. I'm inclined to think just one transaction, but I guess there's reasons not to.
Well, if we put the first, if most of them tend to be around 500, if we made that the payment, you get some back if it's less, and then
Right.
maybe you bill the installer for
Mhm.
the overage.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But there's generally one payment of 500, and then the installer would have to pay the, extra 200 if it was
Right.
$700.
Yeah, yeah.
But it wouldn't, but most people wouldn't have to have that second payment, or at least 11 people wouldn't have to have it.
Right.
The other question I
Yeah.
guess I have, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this. So, and I just want to make sure I understand this, Caroline. So for instance, the one that was 500 or 525, you're saying that they were basically charged 100 and we paid the difference to Paul, right?
Yes.
So here's my question. If we're charging everyone $500, okay, if that's the fee, the $500, if we decided on that, for instance, if half of them are less and half are a little bit more and three were quite a bit more, I guess, it seems to me if we averaged it out and we looked at it, we'd probably more than break even, I would think. Because if you're looking at the ones that were over, just based on this, and I mean, if we're saying 500, you had one at 525, 262, 490, 665. Okay, that's an outlier. 560, not that much more. 490, 378, 900. That was very different. Okay, but not
But then you have an
typical, right?
$880 one.
I mean, I guess I'm looking at these numbers and saying, even if you ended up at 500, I wonder like where you'd actually be, like where are we now in this year, for instance?
We haven't had that
You
many.
know,
septic
You're at
applications so far.
2,115, it looks like, for FY '25.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
guess my question would be is, if we were used to charging $100 and paying all the difference, if we go to 500 for everybody as a flat fee, I'm just wondering, that's just a thought. And then see where it landed.
But then you've got one here that was $80. It
80?
doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
But 427 Hillside Street. Well, it seems hardly fair
Oh,
to
for that
charge.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you did anybody that's under 500. I don't know. It just, I'm not a real fan of the two
Two
payment. I'm just not a big fan of that. I think things get lost that way. It's hard to track it in a way. I don't know. And I mean, if all these other towns are doing things probably not that way, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well,
could
I
just-
think, oh, I'm
Go-
sorry, you,
I mean, we could just charge the engineer the engineer could start the process, we could charge the engineer the full cost. And then he can get it from the homeowner right at the beginning, if you wanted to do that, but we have to find out, it'd have to go through the process. Well, Rockland would have to look at the plan and charge us.
well,
and
what
we'd have
if,
to know the costs.
Yeah, that's better, I think.
Emily, your thoughts about it? Do you have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think either way, it's kind of logistically challenging because right now the installer and the engineer are paying it unpermanized. So we just have to figure that out if we were doing the two payment system. But I think it would be manageable either way. It would just be working it out with Jean, Carolyn, and myself, trying to keep it organized.
Are they
Internally?
paying now, Emily? Both are paying something now?
I believe it's just the engineer paying right now and permanized, and then they will withhold the COC until they've received payment from the homeowner.
So it seems like that the engineer is the one sort of holding the cards then, more than the installer, right? With the homeowner?
Yes, I believe so.
so couldn't we charge 500, and if it goes over, charge the engineer the second bill and not have it be paid by two different people? And it would be less confusing because you wouldn't have two payments coming in all the time. You'd only have two payments coming in if it went over.
I believe yes, but I think now that I'm really reviewing it, I believe I had it switched. So it's the installer that will do the payment, and then they are the ones who we issue the COC to. They're the ones who ultimately will receive the payment from the homeowner. And they're the ones filling out like the DSCP permit, which is ultimately linked to that COC.
So I guess my thought would be, this is just my thought on it. I think my question would be, so Laura, you brought up a good point. That one was 80. That was a complete outlier from everything else. But we'll use it as the example here. So if somebody had to pay the 500, obviously we'd want to rebate them because that's such a blatant, amount. But
Right.
what if somebody's at 490 or somebody's at, well, even 262? Like, so are we thinking that we would rebate the difference if you're under 500 and if you're right around, or if you're
I
500
thought that
or
was
more,
what
well,
we were
that we
talking
will,
about.
that we would charge them the
Yeah.
extra?
So if it comes in less than 500, yes,
They
we
get a rebate.
rebate, yes.
And more, well, we would charge
Right.
the difference. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
So you want to increase it up to 500? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
500's fine.
And if
I mean,
it's,
if you
if it
th- I
costs
mean, if you
more,
th-
then
Do you think 5 or 4? That's my only question, because looking at the numbers, I'm just thinking, I think probably 5 would be my
Seems like
guess.
they're closer to 5 than,
But here's the thing, someone comes in at 490, we're cutting them a check for $10 back, right? So that's what we've got to think of that too, the work for the department to do all that type of thing. So, but I hear what you're saying, because that's why initially I was saying 500. But you have like 487.50. I'm just looking at the ones 420, 390, 490, 490. There's a lot of 490s here, like 3
Yeah.
or 4 of them.
And there's
So,
actually not any straight 500s.
right, exactly. So that's why I'm wondering, do we do like 450 or something, or
Well, there's
400?
525.
I don't know. Because it is 100. That's the other thing, is we're going from 100. Do you want to jump to 5? That's the question. Do you want to go to 4? Because a lot of them, if you went to 400 and it came out at 5 1/4 or something, you're paying another 125, right? That's not bad.
Right.
Just a thought.
Yeah, you'd have less rebates if you
Right.
made it
That's what I'm
400.
thinking.
Yeah.
If you went, I'm thinking 4. I don't know if that I'd go below that though. I mean, right, I'm just, well, how many rebates do we have on this form here? We'd have 1,
24.
1,
2, 3.
4, 5. Oh, actually, would have 11.
Would have a lot. Yeah.
You'd
Well, no,
have
if you went,
11,
if you
'cause
went, if you
11
went 400 instead though, Laura.
Oh, okay,
If you went
400.
400 instead of 500, that's my question.
1, 2, 3,
May 4.
4,
You know, like 4.
5.
Mhm.
I'd have 262, whatever, 50, 378, 350, 80.
80.
Oh, when I saw
And
that
350.
350, I missed that one.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. I mean, how about the ones that you brought in on 25? Do we have any idea on those ones? Where they landed, just out of curiosity? I thought it's the last page. It's not the last page. So do we have any idea on those? Just curious. How many?
It's probably an average of what we're already seeing, kind of.
I would
That's an
think.
Average, yep.
So maybe we bump it to 400.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do people think?
No, that sounds right, because then
400
you'd have
sounds okay.
less rebates.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of less work for people, and but being fair at the same
Mhm.
time.
Yeah. All right.
So I guess I'll make a motion then that we approve $400 for the new fee for the initial plan for the plan, and any difference above that will be charged. Anything under it will be rebated.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great.
Right.
All right. Now moving on. Thank you. So we're on number 8 is the health director's report. My report. Okay. So I just want to give an update on 68 Smith Road. It's coming up on a year that that building has been condemned. I think August 8th or 9th will be a year. I did hear today actually from, her name is Adrienne Bank, and she was the one who's submitting the information. This is all the information is being submitted into the inspectional service or the building department's portal. It's not being submitted into our portal, but they're submitting the asbestos reports. And just recently, within the past couple of days, they did submit a plan in there. So they have, just since July 3rd, I believe, submitted information into that portal. As you may know, what they started to do is they started to do some asbestos work, and inspectional services went there and shut them down because they had not submitted the required permitting through the inspectional services, where all the information has been submitted so far. There is a new building commissioner. His name is Michael White, and I met with him last week just to introduce myself and talk with him both about 68 Smith Road and 5 to 9 Thatcher Street. I wanted to just give him a heads up about what was going on with those properties, and that the board was, I told him about 68 Smith Road being condemned, and then about our correction orders from 5 to 9 Thatcher Street, and then I was going to talk to town council about that property too. So just to bring him up to speed. But I know also the board had talked about 68 Smith and questioned the integrity of the building, and would have liked to have an engineer come and just make sure that the building is sound before they do any kind of work on that building. And I did reiterate that again with this new building commissioner. I know I previously talked to Walter White about this. I talked to Barry Ringler about this, that, the structure is, when we were in the structure, A year ago, we were told not to go on the stairs because they were unsafe. So I was surprised that they even went in there to do some asbestos work. And I was like, wow, they shouldn't have gone in there. I'm thinking in my mind, because really an engineer has to look at that building to make sure that the stairway is secure, or something's not going to fall down in that building if someone's in there. So that's a real risk. So I did tell that to the new building commissioner. As I said, everything is submitted in through the Permanized Inspectional Services portal. I did upload our demolition policy in there today because Adrian Banks called me. And so I reiterated with her about the structural stability of the 68 Smith Road, that structure, and left her a message. So I haven't been in touch with her, but as I said, I uploaded the demolition policy, left her a message, and I'm waiting on inspectional services. I'm waiting on, as I said, they shut it down. It was Walter White that went out there and told them they couldn't continue what they were doing. And so we went up there. Today we went up, and there's nothing going on, which is what we want to see. Nothing's going on. It's all locked up. So we're just going to have to, be close contact with inspectional services to see what the next steps are with that. And I will get in touch with Adrian Banks to find out, that she got the demolition policy, and she has to follow our Board of Health demolition policy. So, do you have any questions about 68 Smith?
I do.
I'm meeting with town council. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think do they have a demo permit and an asbestos permit there now that they applied for? Or what did they apply for?
They did apply.
Because they would need a demo too, I think.
They did apply, I believe, for a demo permit too.
And an asbestos one?
An asbestos one, yes. But that's all through the inspectional services portal,
That's to the building department.
the building department. So they're looking at that.
Do they have to put something through to us though? I feel like they're supposed to submit some things to us.
So they do submit things through our demolition policy. So on the demolition policy, you're right, they have to notify all the neighbors if something's going on. Make sure that there's rodent control before they're starting something. Make sure that the fire department has the mechanism for water if there's any kind of something coming from the building emanating. They have to send the letters to all the abutters. So they have about 7 things that they have to work with the Board of Health to make sure that they've done. So we have that demolition policy. So.
Okay, yeah, and then we had requested the structural engineering last time that we talked about this. So,
and I reiterated that again to Michael White to say, we want to have an engineer go in and look at that structure.
Yeah, either that or a peer engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had talked about that, and then just also to follow up, obviously, with town council on that.
Yeah.
So just keep us posted on this one.
Yes. So I'm meeting with town council on Thursday.
Okay,
I'm meeting with them about 68 Smith and also 5-9 Thatcher.
Okay.
Yep. So, So now I uploaded, as I said, I uploaded the demolition policy. So, and I will get in touch with Adrian Banks to find out if she's spoken to Michael White.
And maybe the other thing it would be great is if you could send us on the board a copy of what that policy is so that we have it for our record so we understand what that is.
The
When these
demolition
things come
policy?
up. Yeah, so when
Yeah, I
they
can
come
send
up,
it
so
to
we
you.
understand what that is, what it says in it specifically.
Sure. I'll send
That'd
that
be great.
send to the board.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
And you're going to
And-
follow up, I'm sorry, with the 5-9 Thatcher,
Yep,
because we had somebody
next.
earlier, I think it might still be on here, had spoken about that earlier. So you're going to follow up, see where we're
Yep.
at with that as well. And then
Yep, so
report
I
back
sent
on
you-
that.
The correction order for 5-9 Thatcher.
Yeah,
It was dated June 10th, and the 30 days had just gone by, and I reached out. There's a contact, her name's Brana, and she's representative of the Milton Thatcher LLC. Yes, it's not an LLC anymore, but I was also contacted by Mary McGettrick today, and she reached out. She has a couple of questions too. She said
Okay.
there's 3 owners in that property, and I had said that, you know, we had issued that correction order, that what they had done is Brana reached out to me maybe Friday afternoon, and she said that they had done some corrections. So Carolyn and I went out today to look to see, and I believe we sent you that information. Really, they just maybe secure the fence a little bit more. Carolyn thought they might have done a little bit of mowing, and they did put some more plywood on both of the buildings that is surrounded by the fence, which was secure the fence. But I told that to Marion, but it doesn't have any water, it doesn't have any electricity, and I'll have to bring that to town council. I mean, this has been an eyesore for a long time. We did order some corrections back in 2020. I don't know if you remember, and we did have some representative that did come at that time. They did make the corrections then, but they can only do so many corrections to those 2 buildings. We don't know how secure those buildings are, or they might fall down too. So that's why we have to talk to town council and really think about what the next steps are.
Is she representing them, Marion, or she was just asking,
So
just out of curiosity, or just?
She wasn't representing them. She was just inquiring for them.
Oh, okay, okay. And then just to say, I know that when I had talked to the fire chief a while ago about Smith Road, he had also mentioned this property because we were talking about safety in terms of,
Right.
you know, if there was a fire or somebody, you know, potentially in there, you know, if there was a fire, they'd have to go in, and they already know that's identified. These 2 places are specifically identified as really, if you don't have to go in, like you're going to have to go in if you have to, but
Right.
very cautious because there are huge risks for them. So they're dangerous, both buildings.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed. So whether town council says, you know, go ahead and condemn, we can bring that up at the next meeting, or, you know, even before that, whatever they're advising. And then, you know, what's the next steps of receiver potentially? You know, would they go ahead and demolish it themselves potentially too? That's when I talked to Marion. So, I mean, she's going to talk to one of the owners. So that
okay.
was the easiest way to tell you the truth. But yeah, so we'll just keep a close eye on that. As I said, I'll talk to town council on Thursday and see what the next steps are for that. Anybody have any questions about 68 Smith or 5 to 9 Thatcher?
No.
Okay. All right. Next, I followed up with Town Administrator Nick Milano today. I know Sue's putting in a lot of hours, extra hours for the camps, and I said that to Nick. She puts in extra hours, not only during camp season but flu season. And I said, can we increase those hours up from 16 to 19? We did it before when the Board of Health had some extra money in their accounts. We don't have any extra money in the accounts, but we do have our revolving fund. So he said he was going to look into that. He indicated a pretty good possibility because it's for health programming, that it could be, her hours could be raised up to 19 hours. We do have a good amount of money in there, like around $70,000. You know, we do pay for our seasonal flu vaccine with that. We do pay for the nurses to come and help us at the flu clinics. But I think that, you know, Sue is really stretched, and she's unbelievable. Even today she was working on a camp on her day off, and she deserves those extra 3 hours because it's just a lot of work for her, a lot of extra work that she's taking on. I mean, it could be comp time, but really she can go up to the 19 hours, and I really think she should get the 19 hours if she can. So I'm hoping that that they'll approve that and that money could come out of the revolving fund, like it does when we pay stipends to the nurses at the flu clinics. It comes out of the revolving fund. So I'll see, Nick was going to talk to Amy about that and say,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to use that. We had talked about that. I think it could
Yeah.
be a good use for her, to get her those extra hours because they are needed.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'll segue about talking about camps. I know I spoke to you about this Camp Beestum, Roxanne. This is it's called Camp Beestum, and this is a new camp that came into Curry College, and very disappointing with Camp Beestum. Sue was, she's like over 19 camps. She was asking them for information. They need to, submit so much information, Corey's, Sorry's, other immunizations, these concussions, and I can go on and on, all the stuff that they have to submit. But what it came down to is that, after multiple emails and talking to them, they started submitting things Sunday night, just before opening up on Monday. And when they submitted Sunday night, Sue's off on Monday. I went out on Monday to see Camp Beestum and tried to get through some of the records, whatever I could see. But it came down to, the camp counselors did not have all their immunizations. They did not have all their physicals. The owner of the camp, Anthony Stevens, he had his staff going out and getting immunizations on their lunch hour or after the camp. And it was kind of like more than pulling teeth. It was a lot of work, a lot of extra work that we had to do, going back and forth saying we need this, 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 and this. And it came down to, I think Wednesday night, and we were kind of pulling our hair out and saying, we need more information from you. If you don't get the information, we're going to tell you can't run the camp on Thursday or whatnot. And they did come up with like 90% of the information, the most important stuff they did, but still they fell short of the information that they had to submit to us. And so we did not give them a camp permit, and sending them a letter to say that. And I'm going to contact Curry College to say, Curry College should have notified us about this camp 3 months in advance. That's the protocol. They didn't. And I hadn't realized it. They probably are a month before they started. They wanted to come into Curry and run their program, but we're going to issue, that we didn't give them a permit. We talked to the state. I mean, it's just too bad because there was so many things that they just did not submit in the end, and they shouldn't have waited till the last minute. I know the camps are a business, and they were in another state, and they're coming over, and that's what's happening. They're coming from different areas, and they don't have everything for their counselors that they need, and they should have it. They should know they're coming into Massachusetts. These are the regulations. So it was very frustrating with Camp Beestum. So we're going to talk to Curry next year. We'll tell them how disappointed that we were with them, and we're going to have to meet with them ahead of time. And I talked with Roxanne about this, that, they have to have their information in at least 2 weeks before they're starting up their camp. So it's been very difficult. There's another camp she was dealing with today. Sue came in and she was dealing with the camp again, late with all their queries and stories. That's the main thing. You want the queries and stories to be okay, but just late with all the paperwork. And, I know it's a hassle sometimes uploading up into Permanise, but she said the information was there. They hadn't uploaded it. But I mean, that's the cost of doing business. You have to have enough people to upload stuff and get the information to us so we can look at it and make sure everything's okay. So we're going to work more diligently with these camps next year because it's been very difficult, more difficult than last year. And especially with this new Camp Beestum coming in. It just was a lot of time for Sue and a lot of frustrations around the camps. We're not the only ones. I've talked to other towns and they've run into the same thing with the camps. It's like, we're going to get you the information, we're going to get it. And it lingers until the camp's opening. We need the information. So
Caroline, I think this seems to be a consistent theme year to year. And most of these camps are running out of Curry or Milton Academy, I believe. And so I guess what I would say is that every year we should plan to meet with them, both of those, because they tend to have the majority of the camps and anywhere else that you can think of and try to meet with them in March, I would say. And
Yeah.
if they know of anything that might come in sort of last minute for an additional camp, then they need to contact us right away. And then I think we need to say, listen, we need that information 2 weeks in advance. And if we're not going to get it, you know, I mean, listen, you guys do a great job trying to do things last minute for all these camps. But the reality is that if we're not going to get the information and something happens, that's on us too, because
Right.
we allowed these camps to go on and somebody got injured or something. So I think we have to put it to them and say, hey, listen, these camps are running out of your places. These are the guidelines. If they're not met, you can't have a camp there.
Yeah,
Because
and-
then that'll
and-
put pressure on them to do something to help you.
Right, and have it be a hard deadline. If it's not in
Yeah.
2 weeks beforehand, there's no period, nothing. They don't, and just do it that way.
Right.
And make sure Curry and Milton Academy know that
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what we're communicating with the people that are,
And it's up
On
to
the
them to
camps.
communicate it to the camps, because
Yeah.
that's,
Because they're renting
it-
from them to bring
right,
them in
and,
there.
and if
Right.
they don't communicate it, they're out their money too, you know?
yep.
So,
Right.
But I do
It's-
think having like a formal sit down with them, you know, in March, when it might be a good time to do that and just say like, this is our policy and have it in writing, you know,
Right.
here it is, this is the policy. And if something happens, you know, again, if I would say you may be a little more flexible if there's a last minute camp that they bring in, but they get you the stuff fully in advance. You didn't know about it, but then they're letting you know about it a couple weeks ahead of time. Like in March, maybe something they bring something in for a week in end of July or something, but they tell you about it and they have everything in place. Like the thing is that you can't be chasing paperwork literally when the campers are already at camp.
Mhm.
Like that's unbelievable. But it happens every year with all these camps, not
Yeah.
all of them, but certain ones. So it's a lot
Well,
of work
they-
for Sue.
It happens
Yeah.
with the big popular ones, like the Nike camp, it happened
Yeah.
with the basketball camp at
Yeah.
Milton Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Some
happens
camps are
every year.
really good, but there's that 2 or 3 outliers that are
Right.
just not there. Every
Yeah.
year we're chasing. So it's just difficult, really difficult for Sue.
Yeah.
Try to get all the information. It's a lot of information they need.
It's a lot.
That
At
is.
the camps
It
in
is.
Massachusetts. So
Yeah.
but you know, Sue shouldn't have to chase it. If they don't have it in, they
Right.
just don't get
Right.
their
They didn't
permits. No
have it,
sweat
they
off
don't
our
have it.
back.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
right. But to have like the counselors going for physicals at CVS, I mean, this should have been done. Why
Right.
don't do a physical? Just
Yeah.
are your tetanus vaccine? This should already be
Yeah.
done. It's a
Right.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, I'll tell that to Sue. We'll talk about it.
Hmm.
More things that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of complaints. I think we had like 4 complaints about trash being left on the sidewalks. Not only just trash, but I don't know if you're seeing it too. I saw 2 beds, like bed frames out on Brook Road, but people are leaving their furniture out. And
So
we're
they
calling
hoping,
upstairs.
they hoping it gets taken, if somebody
I
just
think
takes
that
it for free.
They're putting their free
Yeah.
signs on it, or they're hoping it gets taken, but then Marina and DPW's sending out some more people to haul it away, you know, because the neighbors are complaining, but I don't know, we've seen an uptick this month about that.
I think people just do what they want. They don't call. You're supposed to call the number
Right.
and say, I have a large item. Then
Right.
you get a special sticker. I recently did it myself, and my sister
Right.
told me what to do, and I did it, and it got taken
know.
very nicely. But people just are trying to fly under the radar with things sometimes. And
Right. They're only putting 1 sticker on instead of 2, and then we have to educate them and say,
Yeah.
you know, you need 2 stickers, or if it's this many pounds, you need a special sticker. So, yeah. So come up with that this month. So we had a couple of complaints about that. And then I just wanted to let you know that we did do some parent and newborn support services. We did 4 classes. It was myself, Sue, and Ann. So this was run by the Jewish Family and Children's Services. And the classes were more about listening to new parents, mindfulness. They did touch on postpartum depression, but the foundational services, the public health services, they're now including, maternal health, maternal and child health. So this is like a step in the right direction. We're hoping to get some more training on that. They have some nurse consultants that they hired at the state level. So there'll be more training around this to bring this to residents. So, and that's one of the things in our strategic plan too, more services that we're providing to residents. So
That's good.
that's coming up.
Yep.
Yep.
And let me see the last thing. Oh, not the last, but almost the last. Just an update on the beavers. So I did reach out to Marina to find out how many beavers have been caught so far, and there was 3 beavers that were caught. But if you remember, the Board of Health issued a 10-day permit. Marina came back. The first 10-day permit was July 9th to July 19th, and then Marina came back and said, "Oh, with the weather and stuff, she wanted to know if we could get another 10-day permit approved." So I spoke to Roxanne. We did internally approve another 10 days, July 19th to the 29th. So they're still trapping the beavers right now. So I'll get a report at the end of the 29th to see how many more beavers that they trapped in that area.
And did we have any flooding issues with that, with the different rainfalls that we've had during that period?
I didn't
hear anything.
No, I didn't hear anything. So that's good news.
Okay.
And lastly, or almost lastly, I was going to pursue a reclassification of my position. So right now I'm at a level 9, and I'd like to go to a level 10. And I like the board support. So I don't know if you remember 5 years ago,
Yes.
I went for a
Yes.
reclass,
Oh,
and I was denied the reclass. So we can apply after 5 years again to see if I can get the reclass. So I'm hoping that the board will support me for a reclass.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't believe it's
Well
been 5
deserved,
years.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping. We'll see.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other business that you can think of that they didn't bring up? Any other questions?
I
No.
think that's good. When are we looking up
Want
for our
to
next
set
meeting?
another future meeting date?
Sure.
Oh,
Did you want to meet in August?
I'm away a lot in August.
Do we
Maybe
have anything that we need to meet on, or could we
September?
go to September?
I think we can go to September. I could maybe brush up the final on the grant process and maybe send it to you, the final, and then if you have anything else you want to add to it, we
Sure.
want to open that up September 1st, so we could get that done in the meantime.
Okay.
There's no septic that I know of that's coming up.
All
Do you
right.
want to, I'm just looking ahead into September here. Let's see. So Labor Day is the 1st.
How about the 8th?
works
Because
for
I think
me.
that would be
That's
the
fine.
soonest, right? Does
Yeah.
that work for you, Laura?
Yep, sure does.
Caroline?
Yep.
So why don't we do the 8th at 7?
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to do it on Zoom?
Sure. I don't know. What does everyone else think?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so September 8th at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
Sounds good.
All right, sounds great.
Great.
Any last anything before we adjourn?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the board and Caroline again for letting me know about this meeting. It's very informational, and hope to hear a positive update
Thank
in
you.
regard to the 5-9 Thatcher Street inquisition, excuse me.
Yeah, I'll keep you updated, Jonathan. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you as well.
Okey doke. All right, so it's 9:17. We adjourn at 9:17?
Sounds good.
Great.
All right. All in
Good night,
favor?
everyone.
Aye. Thank you. Have a great
you.
rest of the summer.
You
Yes.
too.
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.